Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the show, and welcome to you if you are here as a first-timer. This is the SCB Steelers Podcast, presented by DEK Roofing Incorporated of South Florida, and we are very proud, to be part of the Variety Sports Network. And, of course, the show is originating from the Bradshaw Bourbon Studio. You know, I'm a little surprised Ian's in late. I really would have thought Ian would have been the first one on tonight because he woke up this morning seeking violence.
Oh, yeah.
And then he dragged Scarps into it. And, oh, boy, you naughty fellas, you.
I didn't do shit. This was all Ian, man.
It really was. Yeah. What an instigator. Absolute instigator. You just going after the picketologists again, weren't you?
You know. Well, I mean, it could be worse. He could have told her. He could have asked her if she slept in a Holiday Inn Express last night. I did that once. That didn't go. It went as well as I was hoping it would go. It didn't go as well as you were hoping it would go. Still, Dad got some hate mail over that one.
I haven't checked the inbox. I'm assuming there's probably some there. Or maybe they've just learned not to send me anything because I'm either going to reply with a very sarcastic retort or not say anything at all. Hey, Aaron, I see Aaron's in.
Funny.
Yeah.
I'm talking about today. Today was funny.
Day. I was laughing all day.
Many of you don't know what we're talking about, but Kenneth Shane Pickett was a video recorded giving what would you call that, Ian?
A motivational, inspirational speech.
Fucking Matt Foley over here.
yeah. Talking about living in a van down by the river. Exactly.
And the
on working your way through adversity.
Yes.
That was specifically what the tweet I quoted.
You run from it, right, Kenny? You run. You run with Philadelphia.
And so Ian could not resist and went after that one on social media. And of course, there were a few people that jumped in to defend Kenny.
Funny.
And, it is.
Kenny,
look, I don't.
Kenny dialed up his 23andMe crew.
Oh my God!
I mean, what are you gonna do? That shit was funny. Sorry.
It's
even Craig got involved. Even Craig chimed in.
Craig did.
Yeah.
He's back on Twitter. He's doing fantastic. I'm glad to see him on Twitter, and that's great. And in fact, we should have him back on because I think he has a little bit of a different take than we do on the quarterbacks, which we're going to get to briefly here. But in any case, I hope everybody had a good 4th of July and everybody has all their digits. Did you guys see the guy in South Carolina that apparently put a couple of M80s or something like that on
top of an Abe Lincoln hat?
Yeah, he had a top.
He put an M80 on top of a top.
Oh
hat,
my God!
Lincoln top hat, and died.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why you don't let kids play with fireworks, but you have the people who've been day drinking all day. They like the fireworks,
thinking it was a
much
good idea.
Safer, much safer.
Anyway, hope you had a good break. Hopefully you got some time off, and also thank you so much for pulling yourselves away from the ESPYs tonight. I know for many of you that is must-see viewing. And so the fact that some of you are here already, it's great. It's great. So thank you for pulling yourselves away from that.
I will say, to the credit of the ESPYs, in my personal opinion,
here we go.
They rank just barely above how much I care about a player's Madden ratings and the NFL Top 100 list. So they're, not in the bottom two.
Would you say Madden ratings are more or less important than the NFL Top 100 list?
I would say the Madden ratings are probably the least important because the NFL Top 100 list, at least it is in theory like voted on by your peers, but I don't care at all about it.
Kind of is, but not really.
Yeah, neither of them matter. None of them matter at all, is what I'm saying.
A huge sample of players, and they put it together that way. Then I would be like, okay, yeah, this is actually kind of a cool list. But what they do is they make it a popularity contest. When the guys visit NFL studios, whoever comes in, they say, just give me your top 20 players.
Well,
and that's how they compile the votes.
That's coming pretty soon, isn't it? Don't they usually do that?
Yeah, right.
End of the summer. But the votes are already in.
Oh yeah.
I just know when.
They start rolling them out 10 by 10 on NFL Network.
Yeah.
And,
you'll know when TJ Watt is too low on the list and Steelers fans are
right.
And you'll know when Cam Hayward's too low on the list because he himself will say he'll post that gif from The Office where like DJ Novak is taking notes and shit. Fuck me.
Listen, I wasn't the only one drinking Haterade today. Apparently, like you guys have
I thought you got it from Scarps.
Actually, Ian, you know what? I'm not gonna lie. I was a casual observer, just enjoying the fact that, you know what? I really haven't had to fight with the picketologists for a couple months now. It's been glorious. And then I saw my boy getting attacked by the fucking worst of the worst, including family, who called you. Yeah, by the way, I blocked her so long ago. I don't know if she's a real person. I don't know if it's his burner, but like, it was just like, wow, like people are still dying on this hill. And it like, if we're talking about like the height of a hill, it's like 13 feet, which is the number of career passing touchdowns he has. Like it is the smallest hill of all time.
See, I thought you were going to say it was like, 8.5 inches, which was his hand measurement at the combine.
Don't steal all of Casey's thunder.
All right.
Sorry,
all right.
But no, Ian, for everybody that tunes in, we love you. We love the audience. But I told Ian earlier today that I was going to give him a little bit more shit than I usually do tonight because he totally stirred the pot. And it was actually everything was actually pretty good until Pickett's aunt chimed in or whoever, and then she was like, he doesn't even know I defend him because he's not on this cesspool or whatever of an app. I'm like, first of all, don't steal my language. Okay. Second of all, it's like, she's commenting on about like Ian's post, and it's like, she's like, oh, why do you care so much? Whatever. It's like, why the fuck do you care what anybody says? And then
that was my point to her. I'm like, nobody's making you respond.
Oh, yeah.
Kelly. The fuck?
So then Ben chimes in and she's like, it's okay, Ben. I know I have you blocked, and there's a reason for that. And it's like,
well, then how did you see my tweet if you have me blocked?
Yes. Well, yes. There's logistics. Logistics, but it's just like, okay, the one thing that she said that really that was just like, okay, you're obviously only hearing one side of the story. Is that she said that there's blatant lies being spewed about him.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm telling you right now, I have heard from both sides, people in his court and people not in his court. And they've all said the same thing. And she's obviously only hearing from him, even though she doesn't talk to him and doesn't know that like she defends him. It's just like, but like, oh my God, like, and she was like, get a life, Ian. I want to tell you something right now. Whoever your name is, Aunt Pickett. Okay, Ian is a fucking gentleman and a scholar. He is a father of 6. He's just a goddamn wonderful person. And like, don't ever talk shit about him on the fucking artist on the platform formerly known as Twitter.
Why do I feel like we just started Casey and we're only 10 minutes in?
Whatever. I'm sorry, I had some drinks, but whatever.
No, I was laughing all day. I was having a good time. And the funny thing to me is that the whole time Kenneth Shane Pickett was a Steeler, the narrative from the Picketologists was, they didn't give him a chance and he's going to be great and you just have to wait and fourth quarter comebacks and all that stuff, right? Okay.
Matt Canada's fault.
Right?
Yep.
And now that he's gone, anytime you tweet about him, it's, well, you need to let him go. Why can't these people let him go? Like, all these people that are responding to me, none of them actually follow me. So they're either searching Pickett's name on Twitter to respond to people,
yes,
or they're seeing somebody else has retweeted it, whatever that happens, right? But these people are going out of their way telling me I need to let it go, and I'm just here to make jokes. Like, I have basically, since Roethlisberger retired, I've been tweeting a meme that, like, the Joker meme that's like, I'm going to become the Joker, but I'm going to become the Steelers Joker. Like, I've tweeted that multiple times. So I have made no qualms about, like, I am the court jester of Steelers Twitter. I do not care. And I'm here to make jokes and have fun and have a good time and maybe throw some good insights in every now and then too. And the last point I will leave this with is, there was a old stand-up routine from Lewis Black back in the early 2000s, like 2003-ish, give or take. It's called Rules of Enragement. And I think about it, it lives rent-free in my head because he had so many good insights in that one special. Go look it up. It's worth your time. But the ending joke, and this was like peak of the Iraq war time, he talks about, like, the difference between us and the terrorists is that the terrorists have no sense of humor. They can't laugh about anything, so on and so forth. And, like, that, certain lines from that bit have stuck with me, and that's one of them, that, like, the people who have no sense of humor, just like what are you doing with your lives? And now, over the last 8 years, I feel like so many people have just lost their ability to have a sense of humor. And
yes, I would agree.
The Picketologists are the Steelers version of that. There's people in other realms of society that are the same way. In politics, on both sides, there are people who just have no sense of humor. I'm like, guys, we need to be able to laugh at ourselves a little bit. Like, we're humans. We're going to make mistakes.
If you can't laugh at yourself, you got issues, man.
Yeah. You got to be able to laugh at yourself.
I mean, you got to be, because eventually you're going to fuck up.
Yeah,
if you can't own it and laugh about it. If you can't,
it's largely why we do this program, so we can laugh at ourselves once a week.
Later, laugh at each other.
Can I make one
real quick point? We're not going to read the tweet, obviously, that Ian started this whole thing with, but no one was tagged and no one was mentioned by name.
Nope.
In said tweet.
Nope.
And people came back as though it was a personal attack on a handful of people. The only person that was named, I should say, or it was implied, was Kenny. Kenny was implied to be the target of jest in that moment. But I mean, everybody's stepping up and going, "What did you think I was going to do? Of course I'm going to defend him." I was like, you weren't even. So basically, you're acknowledging that you are a joke and you are the butt of the joke, and you were the person he was laughing at, which was actually true. But he didn't mention you by name or tag you in this tweet. So
speaking of straight butt, let's talk about Kenny Pickett. Real quick, and we'll move on. So, as Ian said earlier, slowly but surely, the whole Pickett narrative has just unraveled. Like, he sucks statistically. The things we were supposedly couldn't measure were all disproven. But then the one thing that people always hold on to is, he has 6 fourth quarter comebacks in his career. Okay,
and
how many touchdowns do you think he's thrown in the fourth quarter in his career? Well, I mean, he only has 13 overall. So
I was going to say 2.
Yeah,
4. He has 4.
That's right. All right.
How many starts?
25 games.
Yeah.
25 games, 241 plays. He has 4 touchdowns. His quarterback rating is 79.3. So for everybody that gets on Twitter and defends Kenny Pickett and says, "Oh, well, fucking Russell Wilson is washed," while we talk about this next subject, I'm going to pull up Russell Wilson's stats and we'll go from there.
And that's what we're going to do, because I've noticed a couple of things. And first of all, here's what's on the agenda tonight. We're going to talk a little bit Wilson Fields, and I'll get into why in a minute. A little bit about Cam Sutton. a little bit on George Pickens and being an elite route runner. And then Scarps had a little idea tonight about underappreciated?
Under-celebrated Steelers of all time, and then under-celebrated Steelers of the past
I like
five years.
I like it. So we'll finish obviously with Casey, but we'll do that right before. But the reason I'm bringing up the Wilson and the Fields thing is because ESPN is, being ESPN, is trying to throw some kerosene on a fire, which really isn't even a fire, by suggesting there could be a quarterback competition in Pittsburgh and all this stuff. And I think we have all been pretty clear with the fact that we believe this is Russell Wilson's job. And the only way he loses it is if he's hurt or he is dog shit terrible. Ben?
Yeah, I think that people need to realize that there are agents out there that have media connections that are trying to paint this as though he's still a viable competitor in this race to be the starter when he's not. And that's the agent's job. He's got to keep Fields' name in GM's minds so that when he's a free agent next year, he has a market. But the reality is this: the dude is not going to get even the bulk of the reps in camp. I mean, the bulk of isn't even the right way to put it. He's not going to get 25% of the reps in camp.
More than likely not.
With the ones.
Right.
So, you got a new OC, you got new quarterbacks trying to learn a new offense. You got a limited time frame because of the CBA.
Mm-hmm.
You got to devote that to the guy is going to be the starter. And based upon all the reports I'm hearing so far, the competition is not even close.
No.
It's Wilson all the way. That said, Wilson is not the guy he once was, and I don't think that we should expect that. I think that, again, and I've said this from the jump, if he can be a top 16 quarterback this year,
mm-hmm.
He can make it work. And I'll be frank, and Ian's talked about this for years. The things that separate playoff quarterbacks versus ordinary quarterbacks are whether or not you can score in the red zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If this becomes a top 16 scoring offense instead of a dog shit offense it's been for the last 2.5, 3 years, this team can go to the playoffs and win a game, but they got to get there first. There's a whole lot of what ifs.
Yep. One step at a time. Yep.
In there. Right. But if he can get them there, I think he can, but we got to see it all come together first.
I was in the grocery store last week, and I always have something Steelers on when I go out. But this gentleman, probably about our age, and he just kind of walks over to me and he says, "Boy, you're really going to enjoy Justin." And at first, I looked at him as if he was talking about a boy band or something like that. I'm like, Justin, And then I realized he saw my Steelers hat. And he says he's a good guy. He's a good player. He just needs time. He'll be a good player for you. I said, well, he might not even see the field this year.
This guy is an Ohio State fan. Obviously.
Yeah, well, and I didn't stick around that long. I had to get down to
Aaron.
Egg section.
Aaron. He's a delusional Ohio State fan, right, Aaron?
But so, Ian, my question to you kind of goes along with that is that why do people believe that Fields, I don't like the word entitled, but I'll use it, is entitled to this idea that he's right there to be the starter?
Because he was a first-round draft pick, and the Steelers traded for him and gave up assets, so not much. Honestly, they gave up basically nothing to get him.
They gave him a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, and I think it's more just the pedigree of, that he was a first-round pick, that he'll continue to get opportunities in this league. Like, who was the cornerback that the Browns drafted? Was Gilbert from Oklahoma
Yes,
State,
Justin
who was
Gilbert.
just absolute garbage,
Justin Gilbert.
but played for like 3 different teams because he was a first-round pick, and people were like, well, maybe he can get a shot. And
His
He was with the
measurables
Steelers too.
yeah, he was with us too. Yeah,
His
He was one of the
measurables-
weirdest
he
dudes
just
of all
couldn't
time.
Dude's
convert.
measurables were outstanding.
Yeah.
Okay. They
One of
were
the weirdest dudes ever.
outstanding measurables. But when he got out on the
Nice.
field and
Weird.
had to play and made decisions, he fucked everything up. And Justin Fields, his measurables are outstanding. And I don't know what he's got going on between his ears, but hopefully sitting for a year will straighten him out. I'm really hoping on that's going to happen. But based upon what I watched on tape last season, and I didn't go very deep. I watched last year. I'm like, this dude makes really bad decisions. I don't know. I'm a little nervous about this. But that said, as Ian pointed out, they basically gave up nothing. And if he does turn into a franchise quarterback, it'll be the greatest trade ever.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
the other thing I'll say, I think he does see the field this year, but I think they're going to design some specific packages for him that may mostly be kind of like the run options at the goal line. Like you could plug him in if you get a 1st and goal from the 2-yard line, right? You could put Justin Fields in and have a package where you give him like basically an option, right? Where it's a QB read where you read the defensive end, you might hand it off to Naj or Warren or whoever's in the backfield, Cordell Patterson, gonna shark TDs from people. You could hand it off. The
Vulture.
quarterback could keep it. Vulture, yeah. He could hand it off, he could keep it, or he could throw. So like I could see them designing a few very specific packages for his skill set. But I mean, he's not going to be the full-time starter, like you guys said, unless there's an injury or Russell Wilson's terrible. But
I mean, that's going to be like the definition of an RPO, where it's run pass option, and you might hand it off, and you might run with it yourself. You might fake the handoff and take off the way Cordell used to do back in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm just saying, he's not a backup in a way because he has a different skill set that you can use in certain situations. I think a smart offensive coordinator would find ways to use that. I mean,
I get what you're saying.
If it was me,
the dude's physical skills
Mhm.
are absolutely undeniable. He's got the big arm. He's a tremendous athlete. He might be the fastest player on the field, depending on who you're playing. And all you got to straighten out is his decision making. If you can straighten that part of his game out.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. I don't even know if that's the right term in this particular sense. Scarps, Russell Wilson takes the offense all the way down the field. Whether he's just hitting a couple throws and it's all running, maybe it's a nice mix. Maybe he throws the team down the field. Now it's 1st and goal at the 2. Hey, Russ, we need you to come out because Justin's coming in. How do you think that goes?
Man, that's a really good question. As a fan, or how do I think Russ would take it?
First of all, answer it as a fan.
As a fan,
Yeah.
I
mean, I know what my answer would be as a fan.
So I don't know. I'm gonna say what I think as a fan, and if we're not on the same page, I think that makes for good. But as a fan, I don't give a shit what happens. Just put the ball in a goddamn end zone.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And if I'm Russell Wilson, I say, okay. If I'm Mr. Unlimited and I'm Mr. Positive, at least that's what I project, and I would feel the same way. Russell Wilson has already climbed the mountain once.
Yep.
Should have been twice if they would have just handed the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Which gave the Patriots, the 6th Super Bowl, which ties the Steelers. So, I would just say as a fan, we have been so starved for a successful offense, for scoring, for points, for efficiency, that Mason Rudolph in the final 3 games last year was just very efficient. He wasn't great. He wasn't all pro. He was just solid, efficient.
Breath of fresh air.
Yes.
And I never thought I would say that about Mason.
So that if that offense, if they go down the field and Russell Wilson comes out and Justin Fields has a fucking 3-yard touchdown, fucking great. That's awesome. I don't give a shit. I hope they go for 2 with Justin Fields and make it 8-zip. I don't really care. I just regardless of how you feel about the quarterback position, yes, there are questions. Is Russell Wilson washed? Is Justin Fields good? Is Kyle Allen related to Josh Allen? But overall, again, as long as they score touchdowns, I don't give a shit. And as long as they score touchdowns in the red zone, that's the other thing too.
Yeah,
I don't need explosive plays. No. I don't need all this shit. I just want them to be efficient and fucking score touchdowns.
Yes.
That
was the thing that Ben did well
for
so many years, especially the last, I don't know, handful of seasons in Pittsburgh. That was what he was fucking good at. When he got in the red zone, he scored fucking touchdowns.
Yeah.
Didn't kick it.
Yeah.
Was it the Patriots a few years ago that did that with Cam Newton, where they were basically like in short yardage situations, we're going to bring him in and just plow him into the line? And the other thing too is like Russell Wilson is not a big dude. So, if you can limit in some capacity, like if you're going to call a QB sneak, if you can limit the number of hits he has to take, like fine. The other thing, if it was up to me, I'm not an offensive coordinator, but if it was up to me, I would design a package where you have both Fields and Wilson on the field at the same time just to fuck with defenses, right? Like imagine the two of them lining up side by side in a shotgun set. You don't know who's going to get the snap. If you could run like a QB read where one quarterback could hand it off to the other, he could run, he could throw, he could do whatever. Like you could do some really crazy shit.
That's the old school wing T right there.
Exactly.
That's something you could do like with a 2-point conversion where you need the points.
Yeah.
And you're going to run a play, from the 2-yard line. We need 2 points right here. We're going to confuse the shit out of this team.
Force them to call a timeout, if anything.
Yep.
Right. And one final point, and I'll let everybody else talk, is that I know Russ is a little bit older, but Russ will frustrate the shit out of you by trying to extend plays, but he will get chunk yardage because he knows when to run. Justin Goins, who's this? But Russ will get you yards.
Very good at that. You're right. A very smart runner. Which is odd because he is a guy that takes a lot of sacks too.
That's what I'm saying. Like Russ, like honestly, and I'm not being a dick. If I said, but Russ is literally like a smaller version of Ben.
Yeah, I see exactly where you're going.
He's trying to keep the play alive as long as possible.
Yes.
There are going to be a lot of scramble drills this year.
Yes.
Where the wide receivers are running around trying to get open because the play is busted. And they're just trying to find a spot where he can throw him the ball.
Yep. The other part of this is, I hate
Justin's
questions like this
over in the chat.
What's that?
To Justin's point over in the chat about Russell Wilson being a douchebag, we've talked about this before.
We have
that Russell is going to frustrate the crap out of the team.
Course. Steeler Nation is going to
have everybody
hate relationship.
It's going to be he's a weird dude. He's like endlessly optimistic to the point of, when you lose a game, he's going to be like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We're going to be like, why doesn't he fucking care enough that we lost this game? Like, we're going to be so mad about it. I'm going to be mad about it. I'm fully admitting now on July 11th, I'm going to be pissed about this in like 2 months when this happens, right? That he's going to be like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But, I think at least so far in the off season, what you've seen from other players talking about the leadership that he's brought and the optimism he's brought to the offense, they seem to be responding well to that. And that seems like a good first step to me. So we're going to get pissed at him. He is a weird dude, but I think, it's a 1-year deal. There's no, in my eyes, there's no such thing as a bad 1-year deal. And let's not forget, Denver's paying him $38 million to play for us this year. So there's that too.
Right. And look, I don't want to get too far ahead because we have no idea what's going to happen in camp, let alone the whole season. But, I do see publications already talking about, well, the Steelers are going to have to draft a quarterback because they might not have one next year. Well, you know what? That's very possible. It is. And we'll cross that bridge when we come to that. But I personally don't see a competition here. I don't think there is one. I think anybody that tries to tell you there is one, they're trying to create something. It's not there. It's Wilson's job.
I hope that by sitting for a year, Fields will benefit.
From
the experience. I really do. And that the Steelers sign him to some kind of a deal with a low base salary and ridiculous incentives on top of that, and we'll see. I don't know. They're gonna have to believe in the guy to do that. They're gonna have to. They're not just gonna be like. And
even if he's not on the field, they're gonna be around him. They're gonna be around him enough to gauge whether they should pay him or not. They're gonna get. They
signed Mitch Trubisky to a 2-year deal worth $14 million or $28 million maximum. So I guess I shouldn't say they're not just going to give that money away, but it wasn't like he was making market money,
right?
When he came to Pittsburgh and played. So
let's stay on the offensive side of the ball. Ian, is George Pickens an elite route runner?
Gosh, no. He can get separation. He can
because he's a great athlete.
He's a great athlete. He can make freakish catches. He can make pretty good contested catches too. That if you,
no doubt,
as Ben likes to say, Roethlisberger used to have the play of, well, fuck it, AB's down there somewhere, I'll just throw him the ball, right? Like,
yes, he did.
That is a direct Ben Anderson quote. You can basically do that with George Pickens of George is down there somewhere, I'll throw him the ball. And
I think we're going to see that a lot.
We're going to see that a lot. I mean, look at what Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf did. Basically the same play, right? Oh, he's down there somewhere, I'll just throw him the ball. I think they're going to get along great. Is he an elite route runner? Does he have that short area explosiveness? No, he doesn't have that. But nevertheless, you don't have to be an elite route runner to be an elite receiver in this league. He has all the physical traits in the world that you need to do it. He just has to get his head on straight and focus enough to actually put it all together consistently in games. And now that he's going to be the number one, he's going to see the double teams a lot more than he did previously. So he's going to have to adjust to that too. So there's a lot that George Pickens is going to have to mature a lot this year and grow up a lot to become that number one guy. But I think having a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson in the room is going to help.
Mark.
I mean, even the end of last year, right? Like Pickens was throwing a fit when my favorite quarterback was playing. But, when Mason Rudolph played that game in Baltimore and Pickens had no catches, you didn't see him throwing a fit on silence. You didn't see him bitching. Mason was basically like, look, this is what's going to happen to win the game. And Pickens bought into it. And that's what you need buy-in from these guys.
Right.
And a good veteran quarterback can do that. It is, maybe you have a game where you go for, 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, but maybe there's a game where you get 1 catch for 4 yards, but that's just what's available. And if the guys know the quarterback's going to get them the ball when they're open, that goes a long way.
And he's got the advantage, as we just talked about. He doesn't necessarily have to be open to catch the ball.
Yeah, no, he does not.
I mean,
that was what we were hoping Chase Claypool would be when they drafted him, because we watched his Notre Dame tape, and
that is the strangest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it really is.
Just would not fight for a ball.
I mean, but you watch him, and you watched him in college, and even his rookie year, he would do it, and then all of a sudden it just stopped.
He did it a little bit his rookie year. He didn't do it as much, but I was like, every time, he's a rookie, It's fine. He's trying not to get, OPI calls. I understand.
Yeah.
But when he was in college, he was a bully.
Oh my God.
I was excited about them drafting him.
I'd love to see a 30 for 30 on
catch the ball and fall down, Matt.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will say though that for Claypool, he has a really good opportunity now. I mean, he's always had a good opportunity, but he's at Buffalo.
Mhm.
They don't really have a lot of depth. They've got a quarterback that's pretty good. Probably
there was a lot of picks though.
Would you rather have him or Russell Wilson right now? But okay,
I'd rather have Allen. You know that.
Yeah.
But getting back to George Pickens, and I'll say this about George Pickens. I think George Pickens, and I'm going to say this, I think George Pickens is one of the most overrated Steelers of all time.
Whoa.
Wow.
I think he hasn't accomplished anything yet, but he's incredibly talented. Hey, Jen.
He's
incredibly talented.
I'm not saying he's not incredibly talented. I'm saying he's overrated.
How so?
Because he has a couple like highlight reel catches and he disappears for 4 games. And whether you want to blame that on Matt Canada or Kenny Pickett or the offensive line.
No, not the offensive line. The offense in
excuse.
general as a whole was shit.
Okay. So
I thought that the last 3 games when he had like respectable quarterback play anyway, he was much better.
Oh.
Are we going to see?
I'm not saying he's not talented. I just
but my concern is this: are we really going to see what his true abilities and potential are if he doesn't have a true number 2 receiver?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, that's what I'm getting at is at the end of the season.
I do, because the Steelers are going to run the shit out of the ball
for sure,
which is going to open an opportunity up for play action. And on top of that, they're just going to face a lot of heavy boxes, which is basically going to necessitate either cover 1 or cover 0 type coverage. So he's going to have some one-on-ones.
Right.
He just is. And some of those opportunities are going to be there. It's going to be play action type stuff, but still.
Yeah.
Regardless. Yeah.
So,
and cover 1, the safety can come over. That's all, that happens, but I don't think he won't be getting double teamed.
Scarps.
So Matt Smith, by the way, I love your work in The Crown and House of Dragons. You're wonderful. And no,
The Crown was better, but yeah, I agree with you. House of Dragons is good too.
You're a great participant, and we appreciate you. But is 1,100 yards or whatever that big of a deal anymore for a receiver? Also, Pickens had 330 yards in his final 2 of 3 games last year.
Okay, 1,100 yards is the new 1,000 yards. Let's just put that out there, okay? Because you got the extra game, you got the rules enhancing it. So let's just call 1,100 yards.
But he had
300 receiver.
He had 300 plus yards receiving in 2 of the last 3 games. He had no yards receiving in the final game in Baltimore. So I'm saying that he disappears. A true number 1 receiver does not disappear. He
had a hell of a game though in that first game versus the Rats.
Okay, wonderful. And then after that, he did nothing.
Well, okay, I get it. So
you need to see consistency.
They did what Belichick does, and they looked at the Steelers offense and went, well, that guy's good. Their quarterbacks are meh. Their running backs are meh. Their offensive line is meh. Let's take him away. Let's just double him. We'll take him away, and then we'll make you beat us with 10 guys.
So, Matt Smith, he had 300 yards without Canada. He had 300 yards without Canada and Deontay Johnson. Who else scares you on the Steelers defense? Or sorry, who else scares you on the Steelers offense that's going to catch the ball?
The offensive line
right now?
I think Freiermuth will be a factor this year, but he still can't fucking block.
Freiermuth is nothing.
Wilson will make him a factor. But
Wilson
he'll
and
be a
Fields
factor
don't
in
throw in
this.
the middle of the field.
I think he'll be a fact. Yes, they do. I think there'll be
No,
a
they
factor.
don't.
I think there'll be a factor in this offense.
I think the key thing there is this offense because Smith is a tight end heavy
Here's
guy.
the bottom line. I think George Pickens thinks he's better than he is, and he gets preferential treatment because he's probably
He's a
the best
fucking wide receiver.
He gets
They all
he
do that.
Gets,
Yeah.
He gets preferential treatment because he's probably their best playmaker. But he didn't block for Jalen Warren last year. We all forgot about that though.
No, neither
So-
did DJ. Those guys are dicks.
So
Didn't go after a loose ball on the field. No, fucking wide receivers, man. I don't know what it is about that position that breeds that kind of arrogance.
I don't disagree. I'm
But-
just saying.
It is just annoying as fuck. It is, and it's honestly, that is the one position on the field that you can get by on just being super talented. You don't have to work on your craft. You don't have to perfect route running. You don't have to perfect beating the press coverage. You don't have to perfect any of that shit. You just have to be super talented, and you can get by just by being you. You know, Martavis Bryant talked about that. He's like, yeah, man, when I was in college, I used to fuck around all week in practice and do nothing. And I just show up on Saturday and ball out.
Just real quick, Ian, to your point, you know, I talked with Dan today. I had a spur of the moment idea while I was on college orientation with my son today. And I thought, you know, I saw an election sign and I thought, why haven't we made an election year shirt? So I quickly sent him something and it's out in the Twitter sphere now. And I'll give one away tonight at some point. But I love that idea. Living in a Van Jefferson down by the river. That might happen.
Van Jefferson being good is a stretch. I'm sorry.
Well, it is. But just for that T-shirt alone, I hope
if it happens, that's a great idea.
That's why I said if. That's why the word if is at the beginning of that sentence. Yeah, we're giving away a shirt tonight. So how are we going to do that? What's the...
I don't know. We'll throw a little trivia or something interesting out there, and the first reply I get will win the shirt, something like that.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, we'll go a little bit longer here. Cam Sutton was suspended this week, 8 games by the NFL, and it will stay 8 games. He is not appealing. It is a domestic abuse situation. I believe he was charged with a misdemeanor. But the NFL don't care whether it's a felony, misdemeanor. They look at just the conduct. And so he's done 8 games.
Did they look at the conduct or did they look at the optics?
Well, Ben,
it
always starts with optics, doesn't it?
They looked at the optics. The dude had a warrant out. He knew it. He didn't turn himself in for a few weeks.
Yep.
They look at the optics of that and they just go, yeah, you're going to get hit hard on this.
And that may be as much about the suspension as the act itself.
Yeah, and like the whole thing, like he tried to say, I didn't know there was a warrant out for me, blah, blah, blah. And then we found out later that he did know.
He absolutely
The Lions came to him in the facility and said, you have a warrant out for your arrest. Are you aware of this? You need to go turn yourself in. And he didn't.
Yeah, he left. And that was it.
So that's why he got the heavy suspension. If he had just gone and done it then immediately, you know, you're probably talking about fewer games anyway, at least.
Yeah. So, Ian, you mentioned it. Does this mean Patrick Peterson might get a call?
As much as I hate to say it, I think it does. Yeah.
Yep.
I brought it up on Slack today because I started looking at like free agent cornerbacks and like there just isn't much available, unfortunately. It's bad. It's really, really bad.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
You're either trying to get like the shell of Adoree Jackson or Xavier Howard, depending on I don't know what their injury situations are.
Right.
Eli Apple, who can't actually cover anyone, but somehow has had a career in this league.
How is he still in the league?
It is amazing, isn't it? It really is.
They have enough slot corners to get by. Well, I mean, I guess they have 2 outside corners in Porter and Jackson, but like, I mean, Chandon Sullivan, who was here last year, is still out there. I guess you could sign him, but like, he didn't really do anything great that made me say like, yeah, go get him. Steven Nelson is still out there, who actually played pretty well after he left the Steelers, but he didn't leave here on good terms, so he ain't coming back. The one
he
guy
leaves
that
every place on bad terms.
yeah.
He left the Texans on bad terms too. What is that dude's deal?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is up with him? I'm starting to wonder now. I'm like, maybe that was a good thing they let him just.
Yeah, good point by Matt here. I should have said something at the beginning of the show. Dying this week, sadly.
That's terrible.
I don't know all of the details, but I don't really need to. The young man's life was as Matt points out, cut short, and
car accident.
Car accident.
Just a freak.
It's very sad, unfortunate, and wish his family the best, obviously. I think this is an opportunity for Beanie Bishop. I watched a little bit of his tape recently again just to see, and he was really active for West Virginia on the boundary, but his size just does not equate to playing that in the NFL. I think he fits, and Ben, I think, has talked about this. He really does seem to fit that nickel spot.
I think he's a field corner, and he's not afraid of contact.
No.
And he's got that field corner corner speed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you need to have a guy in there who's a little who can cover those water bug wide receivers. That's where that guy's going to be. So,
which have always given us absolute fits.
Exactly.
Yep. Scarps.
The other thing is,
go ahead.
Having a guy with that kind of physicality who can play an outside corner, maybe we can finally friggin' stop matching from the outside in, and just if you put him in the slot and somebody moves their number one receiver into the slot, it's not now they're on, a linebacker or a guy who can't cover down the field. Maybe it's like, there's actually a field capable corner on the, playing in the slot just because of necessity. But the other thing too is, let's not forget the Joe Hayden example, that sometimes guys get cut during camp or at the end of camp. There could be somebody out there. Actually, sorry, Ben, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I meant to ask you this earlier this week, but I completely forgot. So with Cam Sutton being suspended 8 games, the Steelers have to have him on the 53-man roster at the end of camp, but then he goes on the suspension list, which basically frees up a roster spot.
Correct.
After the initial round of cuts.
He has to be on the roster on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Or they could just fucking cut him now.
Well, they could, but they're not going to. They think no. They think that, and I'm just telling you I'm repeating what I was told.
Yeah.
They think he has character. He was in a bad situation, did something stupid, that this goes completely against what the guy that they knew and they know.
Yep.
And they're bringing him back into the fold and hoping that he makes the most of the situation and redeems himself.
Well,
so they want to be the vehicle. They want to be the vehicle through which he can redeem himself. And I hope he does. But by the same token, if he gives any more stupid fucking interviews like he did the last time they asked him about this,
that first interview was such a good first impression. It
was terrible.
Impression.
Yeah, well, I blame the PR people. I really do. I'm sorry, but
did they prep him?
You cannot let a guy just stand there and you have to give him 2 or 3 different lines to say and be done with it. And those were not the right lines. But by
did they
stretch.
talk to him?
Stephen Gee would have overrated silly comments. Steven, you won't like me the rest of the show if you don't like my Pickens talk.
It's 50 minutes in, man. We've had a lot of alcohol. I've been told numerous times, and Hall
we
of
make
Famer,
some controversial statements on this show. It happens.
Of course we do. That's what we do. Hall of Famer Rick has told me numerous times that one of the nicest individuals he's ever dealt with, and all of the different things he does with the Steelers and the players and everything else, all the promos and all that stuff. Cam Sutton He says constantly he's one of the nicest. I mean, everybody leaves these things. He stays behind, helps clean up. That's the kind of guy he is. And so I agree with what Ben was just saying, that, the Steelers probably want to be that vehicle to help him get back to being that guy.
And I do want to say, like, I worked with Cam for a couple months. Super nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Matt Smith. The green is not your color. So Cam was a nice dude. But I didn't really know him that well. But I want to say that, like, the Steelers did their homework. They definitely knew something was going to happen with the personal conduct policy. Yep. The allegations are not good, and he was charged. And he evaded police for weeks. He had a warrant out for his arrest. And he entered a pretrial diversion program. So full transparency.
Yeah,
I worked
absolutely.
there when Ben was accused for the multiple time.
Multiple. I like that word.
And Ben was wrong. Absolutely, he was guilty of putting himself in situations like that. He was never charged, but but my job was not to prosecute him. My job was not to sweep evidence under the rug or handle law enforcement. My job was to let him know what was being told about him and reshape his image. And after that, he was not, accused of anything else. So
did he ever come to you guys, or did you always just go to him?
Oh no, he was, and I'm not there, so I don't know. I don't know if Cam Sutton is doing that, but absolutely, Ben was open. He was absolutely vulnerable. He knew that his life in football and outside of football was at stake. And he was open to input and ways to reshape how he was perceived.
So Ryan, did you give him advice on that slick back mullet that he had when he did that press conference?
That was the first. That was the.
I'm sorry, I'm a dick.
No.
Ian, I was thinking it too. I just didn't say it.
That was the first time I had ever met him. And that was my first Monday on the job.
Wow.
I think I started
what an entry into that job.
I think I started on a Tuesday, and then that following Monday is when he came through the back of the locker room with the slick back hair, and that's the first time I met him. And I remember thinking, like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, holy shit, like, you're gonna go out there looking like this, like I but he was very receptive. He understood the magnitude of the situation, and no, he wasn't always perfect, but I think he did the necessary things to reshape his image. And people quickly forgot about it, for better or worse. But the way Cam Sutton handled that first interview was poor. It is what it is. But if you're the Steelers, I just don't understand why you sign him. If he's going to be gone for half the season, do you not, like, maybe try to draft better? Do you not maybe try to target a guy in free agency?
Is it possible they didn't think that it was going to be more than, let's say, 3 or 4 games?
No. Again, it comes back to what we talked about before. They knew he was going to be suspended. They knew it was going to be substantial, but they're bringing him on anyway. Honestly, the latter part of their season is the tough part.
Absolutely,
just being frank.
But
so they're fortunate that he's coming back after the bye, and it's going to be available to help them.
And he has to be completely away from the team, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
But so let's get back to that. Like, okay, because I want to say this, because normally I shit on Steelers Nation. I'm going to give credit to Steelers Nation here.
Oh,
And I think that Steelers Nation did not like the signing. So Claude brings up a good point. I think Steelers Nation from the beginning didn't like the signing. And I go back to that this decision to re-sign him has nothing to do with money, but has everything to do with principle. And the Steelers always talk about the Steelers way. And the Steelers way is tainted to a certain extent. You have Roethlisberger. You have James Harrison had domestic violence issues.
I mean, Bats Holmes took shots at a police helicopter in the 70s. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
This
okay.
is not new. This is not new,
Okay.
dude.
Okay. And
Well,
okay. But my point is
yeah.
That you can't say you have a certain way and then continue to repeat the same mistakes. And they sign. Listen, they signed Mike Vick. That was one of the worst work weeks of my life. And Mike Vick, I have 2 dogs. They're fucking sitting behind me, fucking living the dream. But Mike Vick,
Happy birthday to Tucker, by the way, Ben. Happy birthday.
He's over
Tucker,
there.
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Such a good boy.
Good.
But they signed Mike Vick, and Mike Vick was probably Mike Vick's like the only guy that like actually did his time, paid his fines, and actually like put money forth to bettering himself and bettering the animal population and
He's still doing that work.
Adoption work.
Yeah.
That dude is still doing that work. And that's an example that honestly a lot of people should strive toward. And people will never forgive him for that. And I get it. But we all want people to own their behavior and try and do better. And that dude actually did.
Well, yes. And even Matt, Matt Smith's a good guy. But Matt brings up Martavis gets suspended for weed. Like,
yeah, that is
so,
bullshit.
And I agree that the rules are what they're what they are. I think they need to, but I guess Steelers Nation at this point was not on board with the Cam Sutton signing to begin with, and then he had that shitty press conference, and then he gets suspended for 8 weeks. Oh, Jesus.
Coming in hot.
Wow.
Oh man.
I hope it stays that way, buddy. The Steelers still haven't pulled a rake of roof.
Still, like I'm going to be frank. I don't give a shit that Cam Sutton's going to be back in week 9 or whatever it is, because it's the gauntlet of the schedule and he's to be healthy. I need a fucking guy that's going to be there all year and is going to contribute. And I'm sorry, Patrick Peterson. I know you have a podcast.
Not as good as this one.
Yeah, correct. And
okay.
And you're probably going to talk shit on us in your next episode. But like, I don't want Patrick Peterson. Like, there's got to be better than Cam Sutton, and there's definitely got to be better than Patrick Peterson. And I know everybody's in love with the con artist, but like, he has absolutely made mistakes. And I think trading Deontay Johnson was one of them, and the second one was re-signing Cam Sutton.
I know. Everything I've heard about Deontay last season tells me that dude needed to fucking go and wanted to go. He wanted to get the fuck out. He wanted to be out of there. That dude was. I mean, people use the word. He's a cancer. The cancer might be a little strong, but let's just say that Deontay was extremely frustrated and wasn't afraid to share that.
If they had a viable number 2 right now, I don't think people would look at DJ's move as big a deal as it might.
The dude wanted to be out of here. He was disruptive as fuck. He purposely did things to undermine his offensive coordinator, his quarterbacks. Purposely. He was a bad influence on Pickens. They knew he wanted out, so they traded him to the worst team in the league.
Thank you.
That was a message to the whole rest of the organization. You do this shit, get the fuck out.
Before we get to Casey Kasem tonight, we're going to spend a little time on a different topic. Scurbs brought this one up in
the best?
Yeah, by the way, we haven't done
why
that in a
is it
while.
not-
What is everybody drinking tonight, by the
Why
way?
is it not White Claw?
I forgot.
No, the best beer is free beer. The second best beer is the beer after yard work.
Yes.
I don't care what kind of beer it is, but the beer after
I don't
you do
know. The
yard
beer
work,
after yard work might be the best beer.
It is good,
it
even
is-
if you have to pay for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care if you bought it. It's in the fridge and it's super cold. After the beer after yard work,
That's the key. It better
Yeah.
be freaking cold.
Yeah.
and that's a goddamn good beer. I don't know, man. I gotta say, I'm saying that's the number one, and then the second best beer is free beer.
Yeah.
Those are fair. Ian, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, I've still got some Fat Tire in my keg,
Okay.
and I've got some old Overholt whiskey with
very
Abraham
nice.
Overholt on the label, who was the grandfather of Henry Clay Frick.
Little Pittsburgh for you.
Pittsburgh for you. Yeah, the coal baron who sold his coal to Andrew Carnegie to power his steel mills.
Good question, Freak. We haven't heard from Melvin in a few weeks. I know I think he's been traveling. If I'm not
Well,
mistaken.
we could always send him a Twitter message.
Yeah.
Water.
What do you mean yard work beer? Shut up, Aaron.
Well, Aaron's probably got a John Deere tractor he rides around on.
Aaron probably
John
has.
Deere
Aaron probably
Green.
has a gardener. Aaron's one of those fancy Ohio people that has his own gardener.
Probably his own personal pond in the front yard too, like everybody else there.
Exactly.
But Scarps brought up an idea about under celebrated Steelers.
Oh, that.
Yeah. So, who is your favorite under celebrated player from the last 5 years? Who's your most under celebrated player ever?
Hey, Joe.
Take a minute to think about that.
I have no fucking.
I might have
idea.
to take a minute and hit the old hay.
You should.
I mean head,
You
not
you
hay.
should have given us this question this afternoon.
He did.
I did.
Oh,
the
I didn't
fucking
read
group
it.
Chat.
I didn't read it. I didn't fucking read it.
Oh,
Okay.
Here's a guy who doesn't check
You had-
Slack.
listen. You had
Now, here's
you had time to fight with Pickett's head.
Exactly.
Hey, it was one fucking tweet. Okay, it was two. That was it. The second one was, thank you for proving my point.
Yeah,
Of course you're going to come back because you just can't fucking help yourself, Kelly. I just can't help but responding to these tweets. And fucking Ian comes back and congratulations for your
Pyrrhic victories.
victories over randos and bots.
No,
Congratulations.
here's an ant that doesn't understand Roman culture. So
What's I keep thinking of the ant from Spider-Man. What's her name? Aunt
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 May.
Aunt May.
Oh, Marissa Tomei.
Marissa
Yeah.
Tomei.
Right.
Hey.
you want to talk about aging like a fucking fine wine? I've had some drinks. Marissa Tomei, I know you're watching this. My wife,
She doesn't
Would
watch live. She
understand.
catches the recording.
she'd understand.
Yeah. She's a little past her bedtime.
I hope your wife's not listening to this shit.
I don't think my wife has ever listened to any of these shows. But I will
Well, I
say,
usually get, I don't know what you do down there.
no, but I will say a couple, and I gotta pee after this. I will say a couple weeks ago, she says, I will give her my Casey song, Casey stuff. And she's like, okay, that's pretty good. She's like, what if Casey ever did that Cardi B #1 hit? WAP. Not sorry, WAP. Sorry.
Yeah, I
Not
knew
the-
what you meant.
Listen,
Oh, my
I'm
God.
Italian, not the Italian
You're a
slur.
wop.
But
Right.
Jesus Christ, easy there.
Easy,
Easy.
easy.
And
Easy.
for the record, the
WAP, not
full-
WOP. Anyway,
the full tweet of what I said to Kenny Pickett's aunt was, congratulations on your Pyrrhic victories over burners and randos on the Bird app. Would you like a trophy? You can put it next to the gloves Kenny wore in the Peach Bowl and his game-worn jersey against the Seahawks. But full disclosure, Ryan put me up to this because
I didn't.
in our Slack chat, Ryan's like, Ian, you have to destroy her.
I
So
said bury her.
or
I didn't
bury
say
her.
get it,
you have
but
to.
here's
I said
the
bury her.
thing. Do you understand that she didn't understand those references, right?
Probably not.
No.
She didn't know that he didn't play in the Peach Bowl and that he refused to dress for the Seahawks game.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone else
She
who saw the
didn't
tweet
get it.
would get those references.
Maybe smart people would. Pitt fans probably should.
Oh,
They'll defend him anyway
Ouch.
because they're Pitt
Anyway,
fans.
Casey couldn't get through
H2P.
WAP by Cardi B. I'm just saying. So we're lost.
What time is it?
down
It's early
5
now, man.
spots.
Up to number 1 this week, we have Cardi B with
Yeah, Cardi B.
blah, 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 blah.
All right.
What
So
air-
I will actually answer this question. of
Thank you,
Ryan.
Ian. Under celebrated Steelers for you.
All right.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
really
that.
bad. I'm going to
So
hear it again.
We've had some really good entries over in the chat. Aaron Smith's a great name. Chris
Yeah.
Fuamatu Mafala is a great name.
Yep.
I'll put it this way. The one Steelers jersey I always regretted not having was Dan Kreider. So he's going to be
yeah.
my
Yeah.
underappreciated or
Yeah.
under whatever. Like, that was the one guy that I was always like, if I could rock a Dan Kreider jersey, like that would be super cool.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got to a point in my life where I had enough money to buy jerseys, he had retired. So I was like, it's not worth it now. Alan Faneca was the other one, but he's a Hall of Famer, so like I felt like that didn't count. So
Yeah,
Kreider's my guy.
I love it. I love it.
That's fair.
Ben, do you have a all-time under celebrated game?
All time? Yeah, Chidi Iwoma.
Oh yeah,
Iwoma? Iwoma?
Yeah.
Chidi
Who
Iwoma,
was a
yeah.
Steelers special teams player,
Yeah.
sometimes safety, sometimes
He
slot
was a
corner,
demon.
and then became a Blesto scout after he left. Yeah, dude made a lot of contributions to the organization. Good for him. Loved the guy. Glad he was around. He was always in on a tackle. And then Sean squeeze him. You know, that dude. I mean, kickers. Boz gets a lot of love because Boz has been pretty consistent. But Sean Squeezem came in when we needed a kicker really fucking bad.
Yeah.
And solidified the position. And then he got hurt on that turf in the Hall of Fame game and ruined his fucking career. But, you know, other than that,
He's trying to make a damn play.
Made Scarp's job a lot more difficult because he had to write a whole bunch of
Fucking Garrett Hartley, total dickhead. Just saying. Josh Scobie, wonderful human being, couldn't fucking
Terrible
hit the
kicker.
broadside of a barn.
What the hell happened to that guy? He was like,
Didn't they trade? They traded like a
shows
fourth
up
round.
and he can't hit anything.
Nah,
They
it was
traded like
I
a
think it
fourth
was a
round pick
6.
for that dude or something.
It was a 6 or 7. It wasn't that bad.
No, whatever. They
Still.
traded for him. It was a goddamn
They did.
kicker.
They did.
I'm gonna give you two guys. One from the more current era, and then one from a long time ago.
All time in 5 years. Right?
All time in 5 years.
I said okay, no, okay. You know, it's
All
still that we could do 3 if we need to.
Well,
don't need
I was
three
just
here.
gonna because I think this guy often gets overlooked a little bit, but I think Chris Hope, HOPE,
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good
was
one.
a really good secondary guy, and obviously he was a compliment to some of the better players. Troy, back there.
They wanted to
And
keep him, but he
went on. He took the money. He
gonna
went to
get too much.
Tennessee.
It's
I
kind of
get
it's
it,
like
but-
it's James Daniels this year. James Daniels this year is like
yeah.
they're looking at they're going, okay,
but
this
but
dude
the
is going to get
guy-
offered $16 million next year. We're not going to be able to compete with that.
No. The guy from the olden days, Ben, you'll know this one. Kind of under celebrated was Randy Grossman.
Oh Jesus!
Remember
Christ,
the-
let's go way back.
Remember the tight end? The guy weighed. He looked like he weighed 180 pounds.
You know how I remember Randy Grossman so well? He was
How's
number
that?
84.
He was.
So I know people who've taken their AB jersey and changed the nameplate to Grossman
Good for them.
so they could keep the jersey and not throw it away.
Yeah,
I
he
sent
was. He was
mine.
84.
I had 2 of them. I sent them both to the Raiders.
Wow.
care of Mr. Big Chest because I'm petty.
Well, that's too bad. Scarps, what were yours?
I asked the question and didn't think too much about it.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Keep talking.
All right, I'll jump in again because I gave you kind of my
Yeah. Who's your 5-year guy?
Yeah, I think
Guy.
yeah, 5 years is tough because that's
Very.
like after AB had his meltdown and left.
I know who my 5-year guy is.
Okay, so my 5-year guy.
Is your 5-year guy Fontes perfect?
No. Mine. I was
I'm talking
actually
to Scarps.
yeah. I was actually kind of split here between like Vince Williams because the last 2 years of Vince Williams' career was during that 5-year time span.
Under-celebrated.
Under-celebrated.
Yep.
But I'm gonna go with Tyson Alualu because when he was Alu. When he was healthy, he was very solid, and he could play all 3 downs along the defensive front.
Yeah.
Could spell guys, and he was just like he wasn't flashy, he wasn't great, but he was just solid. And I felt like as a guy who kind of solidified the front of the defense for a couple years.
Good player, just like Kimo Van Olhoffen.
Yeah,
Same.
Yeah, exactly.
Loved Kimo.
Same dude, different era. Different era. I agree with
Very
you.
similar.
Good call.
Scarps, who's your 5-year guy?
I know who my 5-year guy is.
I'm not. This is not hyperbole.
Uh-huh.
My 5-year guy is Mason Rudolph.
Oh, for God's
Oh, for God fucking sakes.
Now I see why he wanted to ask the question.
Now, exactly. 3 games.
No,
All
not just 3 games.
I appreciate what he offered too, but it was 3 games, dude.
It was not 3 games.
I know where he's going. Go ahead.
It was not 3 games. He was doing just fine before Earl Thomas took his head off and got penalized for it. And then he was doing just fine before Myles Garrett took his head off with his own helmet. And looking at his numbers overall, he's the most successful quarterback we've had on the Steelers over the last 20 years besides Ben Roethlisberger. And we're talking under-celebrated. What happened after they fucking kicked him to the curb multiple times and Weedle Hands Kenny couldn't do the job and then fucking Small Dick Mitch couldn't do the job either.
Wow.
Yeah, Mitch was a terrible, terrible signing. Horrible.
Is anybody happier about Kenny Pickett coming to the Steelers than Mitch Trubisky? Because nobody talks about Mitch anymore.
No. Trubisky should get a bottle of White Zinfandel for Kenny Pickett every month. So, but no, seriously, over to Pat. Mason Rudolph is under-celebrated. And then look what happened.
I'm not going to knock it, Scarps. I'm not going to knock it.
All right, whatever. It's going to be like a 3rd-team quarterback on the Titans this year, but okay.
He's going to be the starter.
I hope you're right. He deserves the right.
That'd be 87 touchdowns.
I think he deserved.
We need mandatory piss tests.
He deserved to compete in Pittsburgh for the starters role this season. He deserved it, like a real competition.
Yeah, he did.
They didn't believe in him, so they let him leave. It is what it is, man.
Look at Aaron's in the chat setting his own questions up. He asked the question and then answers it.
Come up with a 5-year player.
Honestly, like Ben, you should just say Terrell Edmonds because he was very solid for what he was.
But everyone hated him. That's the obvious answer.
Yeah, that is the obvious answer.
But as we've talked many times, you can't blame the guy for where he was drafted. I mean, if he would have been a 2nd or 3rd round pick, I think
a 2nd round or 3rd round pick guy. I agree with you.
I think that's
by the same token. I mean, the guy has traveled from team to team to team, making at the minimum or close to it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like the NFL views him as a great talent, as a great contributor either.
Nope.
That's all I'm saying.
I
think he's solid, but I don't think Deshaun Elliott's any worse.
Wait,
Deshaun or Deshaun? How does he pronounce it?
Deshaun, I think.
I believe it's Deshaun.
All right.
Easy there, Steelers.
I've heard different variations.
Well,
Anyway.
typically the Steelers put out a pronunciation guide, at least for their last names.
Steelers freak.
Yeah, it's part of the media
Ryan-
guide that season ticket holders used to get for free in the mail. I have a whole collection of them up till like
They
2014.
don't. You know what, dude? They don't print the internet anymore. Fucking get over it. They don't do that anymore. All right, doesn't happen.
I'm bitter. I'm so bitter about this.
Steelers freak. Garbs has a Mason jersey he wears every Sunday during the season. Actually, he has two. It's a home and an away. So depending on where they're playing.
To be fair, I have a Levon Kirkland jersey.
Oh, I do too.
And he
I
could
don't.
be. He could
I do
be.
have a Greg Lloyd jersey though.
Oh, nice.
He could be my most underappreciated Steeler of all time. But
He was pretty appreciated in his time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say this is my underappreciated Steeler of all time.
Joel Steed.
Joel Steed's a great answer. I was just thinking about Joel Steed. Sorry.
I actually named my
Ryan.
son Matt Smith. But
Craig
the
Colquitt.
He didn't name
No.
his son Matt Smith. He named his son after the Jonas Brothers, Matt.
yes, Kevin
I'm
Jones.
sorry.
Jeremy Capinas Jonas. The
Joe Jonas.
no, and I'm going to say this. The most underappreciated Steeler in my opinion is Hines Ward.
Whoa.
Ever? That
I'm
dude's
not-
pretty well appreciated. Are you shitting
Yeah,
me?
I think Steelers fans appreciate it.
People think that he should be a Hall of Famer, and he's not.
But you
I wanna
I'm
hear
going to
No.
go with Duck
logic for
Hodges. Most
But yeah.
underappreciated Steeler of the last 5 years, Duck Hodges. Not good. Still will the team to a bunch of wins. Anyway.
Pandas
hold on. Let me finish my thought here. The reason I'm picking Hines is that everybody picks AB is the best Steelers wide receiver of all time,
Most talented. Best.
and AB never won a goddamn thing with the Steelers, and Hines
true.
won goddamn things, including a Super Bowl MVP. And they had rules changed
Let's not
because of
forget that he won
Hines.
the Mirror Ball Trophy and then ended his career.
And Hines, that's fair.
Dick.
But Hines is docked for being a football player. And everybody
mean-
wants to say, no, hold the
Hines
God
was
damn it, hold the
great,
fuck
but
on.
Was he like Hall of Fame great? Nah.
Okay, was AB Hall of Fame great because the
Yup.
fucking quarterback forced him the ball every time because he was afraid to
Yup.
hear the little bitch's 84's mouth the whole time?
Hey,
yeah,
man,
I've had
throw
some
me the
drinks.
ball. Hey, boom,
I've
the
had
ball.
some drinks. I'm telling you this right now. If you asked Ben, not this Ben, if you asked Ben Roethlisberger who he'd rather play with, Hines or AB, I guarantee you he would say Hines. I
Ben didn't
guarantee
get along
you.
with Hines. Hines and Ben didn't like each other. And
Okay, that's fine. But Hines and Ben made magic. And
they
you know what?
did. And Hines and AB
okay.
made. Ben and AB made magic.
Ben and
and
AB
Ben
made
made ma-
magic in the
Ben
regular
made
season.
magic with lots of wide receivers. Ben
Okay.
made wide receivers look fucking good.
Okay, so
As
so
you
here's
pointed
my-
out in that
here's my
tweet
point.
one day when AB was still with the Steelers, and you said that AB owes Ben his career,
Yeah, he
and then-
does.
and then AB came back and said, "Trade me and find out." And then there's a firestorm.
Trade me,
and
let's find
all-
out. Let's
all
get
that
it right.
shit happened. Yeah. And
Scarps
you're
has
like,
a framed picture of that tweet.
Scarps is like I had the opportunity to trade you, dumbass.
Yes, that's true. But but I'm not being a dick by saying this. Antonio Brown was arguably one of the best receivers from 2013 to 2018 in league history. I'm not going to deny that. But when it comes to under-celebrated Steelers, when you ask Steelers fans, who's the best Steelers receiver of all time, I guarantee you more people will say Antonio Brown than Hines Ward, even though Antonio
they're
Brown never
wrong.
won shit as a Steeler.
Well, but
So
you
that's
still
why
get
I'm
a lot of
picking
people
Hines.
to say Allworth and Swan too.
Hines is
Yeah.
I still think John Stallworth is the best Steelers wide receiver ever.
And I wouldn't argue
But-
against that.
But That
Cecil coming
said,
in with a Dwight Stone reference. Love it.
Dwight Stone. Wow.
Dwight
That's why we
He
love
had a
our ideas.
90-yard touchdown
That's-
the one year, didn't he?
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
you never knew when he was going to drop one.
No.
That's
Oh
true.
man, he could drop some bunnies, man. I'm telling you.
Dude, the fuck.
Do you remember Corey
Anyway,
Holiday?
Hines is
Yes.
a great
Wow.
player. I agree with you, Scarps. Hines is one of my all-time favorite Steelers. I mean, how do you
Yeah,
argue with
he's one of
that
mine
dude
too.
Yeah.
just going out there
He
and
was
busting his
a
fucking ass?
Football
Yes.
player. He was. He was football.
Hines-
Just every play, every opportunity, smack somebody in the face. The dude just, I mean, like the Ravens talk about the fact that they wanted to kill Hines Ward. They wanted him dead, literally.
Ultimate compliment.
They hated him that much. Ultimate competition, yes.
Mhm.
compliment.
And they all
yeah.
knew where he was too.
Ed
'cause
Reed.
They didn't want to get decked by him.
Ed Reed, who got decked multiple times by Hines Ward, knocked the fuck out a couple of times. They're friends. They're buddies now. It's a sign of respect, man.
And
Absolutely
Hines
sign of respect.
was not a big dude by any
No.
means.
No, he's 6
No.
He's
foot.
200 pounds.
Yeah.
But like thinking of that, like so
My
anyway.
size, for fuck's sake.
So
Hines had the extremely unique ability of always knowing where the first down sticks were and being able
Yep.
to get past
Yeah,
them.
he was really
Yeah.
good at that.
That it
He
was like he could always just like
So is
find
he.
that spot in the zone and sit down where he could either fall forward for the
So-
first time.
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
the other thing about Hines.
He
is
he was very
always
good at
fell
that, Ian.
forward.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
if you notice some
And-
guys get hit back, like Hines
you-
always fell forward and got that extra yard. Sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
no.
I
I'll
talked over you.
stop talking after
No,
this.
Heath was like that too, man, where he would
Yeah.
always find that little
Always
soft
going forward.
spot.
Yep.
Okay,
Look.
I need a yard and a half, 2 yards after I catch the ball, and I get the first down. And then if he got more after that, hey, bonus. Wonderful. But we kept moving the chains. We kept moving the fucking chains.
Yep.
Yes,
Casey, ready?
Lewis
he can
Lips
be.
was a good receiver, Cecil.
Louis
Yeah.
Lips was my first
Yeah, Lips
favorite
was good
player
too.
as a kid.
On a terrible team, but yes.
Yeah, those teams were. Ugh. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to
Yeah.
turn it over.
Actually, can I bring up one other point though?
Yeah, go ahead.
on that front?
Yes.
And
Sorry.
another thing.
One other thing, yeah. So as we're starting to get into it, they will probably have the committee meeting for the Hall of Honor like around the start of training camp.
Yeah, they always
Which is-
announce it on the Saturday when they're at Latrobe, the second
Yeah.
Saturday, I think.
So that's coming up in a few weeks. And we mentioned, Louis Lips, some of these guys playing on terrible teams. I'm always fascinated to see how that Hall of Honor committee sort of balances the
Mhm.
guys like a Hardy Nickerson or was it David Little, like some of those guys from the late 80s, early 90s who were pretty good players on some pretty bad teams versus the guys who actually won them stuff. And obviously they've put Aaron Smith in, they've put Casey Hampton in.
Tunch is on Tunch is on the
Nickerson-
Hall of Honor, right?
Yeah, Tunch is in.
Is,
Did
is
Nickerson
Craig Wolfley?
play? No, but he will be.
Yeah, I would.
Did-
He's
did-
one I'm
He,
thinking.
because Wolfley was a better player than Tunch. But going back to Nickerson, did Nickerson play long enough in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, he has enough years.
How many years do you have to have?
3, I think. It's not that many. Yeah.
I always thought they made it 3 years because there were a handful of guys like Kevin
Yeah,
Green.
you had to be out 3
Yeah.
years.
who played really short careers in Pittsburgh, but were super impactful over those 3 years. But I don't think Hardy Nickerson was that impactful over those 3 years. It just, he had that potential and he was going to be that guy. And Tampa Bay saw it and overpaid
Yeah,
him.
he,
And then,
he was great for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just think, it's the off season. We don't have that much to talk about. I always say this, that no news is good news between the end of mini camp and the beginning of training camp, right? That the only news that comes out is like someone got arrested, someone got hurt playing basketball or doing something stupid. Like no news is good news for the next few weeks until they hit training camp. So we need something to talk about. So when you mentioned about playing on bad teams, it came to my mind of like, I wonder how the Hall of Honor folks kind of judge some of these players and how that factors into some of their decisions.
Oh, freak. That's a good question.
Fuck no.
Oh, no.
Question?
No, I don't think
Morris
so
on the Hall
either,
of Honor
but
list. I don't think Ben Morris was here for 3 years.
really? I thought he was here 3, wasn't he? No.
Yeah, he was.
Fucking 3 pounds of weed, though.
Now here's a
No,
guy
he was
that had
only
a
here for
bunch of-
2. I was right. He was only here
Oh,
for 2.
really? Just 2?
Just 2, 94 and 95.
Did he get
Here's a
cut
guy
for,
that gets-
for selling weed?
Yeah.
Here's a guy that's friends with Nate Newton.
Oh, man.
All right. Casey Kasem to round us out today. We're almost at
Apparently.
90 minutes, you
Oh,
bastards.
Jesus. Casey's Coast to Coast. American Top Honey. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week that was July 11, 1988. Our favorite correspondent, Ryan, is back with us again this week. And he writes, I don't know why Ben's laughing, but he writes, Dear Casey, got a monkey on my back. The monkey on my back. Gotta change my ways tonight. Nobody's fault but mine. Casey, that's of course nobody's fault but mine, which is originally done by Blind Willie Johnson in 1927, and the most famous cover of this song was done by Led Zeppelin in 1976. Led Zeppelin stealing a gospel blues tune? What will you tell me next? Eric Clapton didn't write I Shot the Sheriff or After Midnight? Speaking of nobody's fault but mine, and being blind, Kenny Pickett was once again in the news this week. Kenny Pickett gave a motivational speech to some high school kids. Afterward, the students immediately quit school and demanded to transfer to another district.
Yes. Ryan, I love you. Oh, man.
Matt Smith just said, I always turn off the pod when Casey comes on, not changing things tonight.
You picked a good one to stick with.
Oh my god. All right,
Matt, I appreciate you. Pickett talked about the doubters and specifically called out the fans and media. It's good to know he's matured and has taken responsibility for throwing 13 touchdowns and 700 passes. I'm sure Philly fans will handle him with the white gloves, but just be sure to make sure that they have extra small sizes. Casey, Kenny Pickett is just like herpes. When you thought you were rid of him, he shows up on employee photo day.
Oh my god, that's fucked.
Now let's talk about Steelers quarterback Russell Hail-Bob Comet Wilson, who is nuttier than squirrel shit. Russell Wilson is more positive than a pregnancy test after a one-night stand with someone who you gave a fake name to. I'm going to hell for that one. Earlier this week, Steelers Cam Hayward talked about how he recruited Russell Wilson. Cam said, I told him that Pittsburgh isn't the place for glitz and glamour. This is the place where gladiators come, and we're going to compete every day. Casey, I'm not sure if you're up to speed on your Roman history, but roughly 400,000 people died in the Colosseum over the 350 or so years it was used for human blood sports and spectacles. So basically, Casey, Cam was telling Russ that this is a place where you go to die. Much like Kenny Pickett's career. I can't wait until fans blame Matt Canada when Kenny Pickett is out of the league in 3 years. It'll be as easy as 1, 2, 3. Well, Ryan, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars, and keep your radio right where it is. Here's Gloria Estefan and Miami Sound Machine with their hit 1, 2, 3, up 5 spots to number 19 this week with 1, 2, 3.
What'd you do? Not read it or something? Weird at the end there.
I had some drinks and I forgot to delete some things. So, and then Matt Smith saying he turns off the pod right before Casey really fucked up my concentration.
Well, he probably can't handle the laughs.
I'm not going to lie.
I mean, the herpes thing was fantastic.
Oh my God, dude. Jesus.
Jesus. All right. 90 minutes. Thanks, everybody, for jumping on. We love all of you. Oh, wait. I got to give away a T-shirt.
We do,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I got to
Don't
give
send
away
it to
a
Matt
T-shirt.
Smith.
Well,
That's fine, man.
Give it to Claude.
The Ryan Matt Smith dynamic, like over time, has been
I
hilarious.
need to fucking know who Matt Smith is. It's probably my uncle. It's like
It's
Pickett's hand.
probably
It's my
Matt
uncle
Smith.
fucking Rob or
well,
something.
yeah.
From
your
the
uncle.
Crown. I mean, I want to believe it's Matt Smith on the Crown. That's amazing work.
That'd be
Just
amazing
saying.
if it was.
I take it
Yeah,
there's
right.
an actor named Matt Smith on The Crown.
There
Yeah,
is
and
an actor named Matt
House
Smith
of Dragons.
and House of the Dragons, and he's good.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right.
It would be fantastic if it was
Yeah,
that
I already
guy.
owe Claude a T-shirt, and yeah, we'll ship one out to Matt as well. He's the winner tonight simply because of the fact he's donated 3 times to this website.
Hey, Matt Smith, we love you.
So yeah, those are your winners tonight. Hey, thanks everybody.
He said, listen to me.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Check out the site, steelcityblitz.com, and check out the socials and all that good stuff. And as always, go Steelers.
Ravens suck. And hey, everyone who checked in tonight, thank you so much.
Yes,
indeed.
And again, fuck the Ravens and everyone from Baltimore.
Well, that too.